Greetings, travelers. Today, another example of where being frugal / cheap sometimes gets you burned. Now, after 70 or so plus eBay transactions and having been burned only maybe twice, I think that's a pretty good record, and I'll keep using that particular venue for purchasing items, albeit with a little bit more caution after this experience. What we have here are a set of Avid ball bearing 7, Avid BB7 disc brakes, which I purchased to upgrade the BB5s that have served me well for a number of years, a number of seasons. They're well used, they're well abused, and getting to be a little bit tired, so I figured it was time to replace and upgrade. So hitting the old eBay, I scanned and found these. Price was a little lower, right in the ballpark. There were lots and lots of different sellers of Avid BB7 brakes on eBay. I picked this particular seller, who shall remain nameless, received them, and I'm going to give you a little tour of what I received. I personally believe that they are not authentic SRAM / Avid product. I'm posting this, I'll tell you why, and you can tell me whether or not you agree with whether or not this is a genuine Avid BB7 brake. Okay, why pray tell would I think that what I received was not a genuine SRAM product? Like I said, I scanned far and wide on eBay, found that there were well over 400 listings for Avid BB7 brakes on eBay. I didn't think SRAM was capable of making that many and having them all for sale. But I picked one, ordered it up, and I'll show you what I received. I received this lovely bubble package, 2-day priority mail. I'm going to cover up the seller. I'm still in discussion with them as to what we're going to be doing about this, because not only do I believe that this is not a genuine product, they were also defective in a way which I will show you in a minute. But as I said, I received this beautiful bubble wrapped package containing the disc rotors, sealed in bubble wrap in their own little plastic bag, which was sealed with a large quantity of packing tape, and the calipers also individually wrapped in bubble wrap. This is not exactly obviously how I received them. They were a little bit more tightly wrapped. Now, as far as the nuts, bolts, and fasteners, most of them, the set for one caliper, they were in a nice neat little bag. The set for the other caliper were kind of loose in the bottom of the bag. Same for the bolts that hold the disc rotors in place. They one set was in a nice bag that was in this massive bubble wrap. There's the remnants of the bag right here. The rest were just kind of rattling around loose. One or two of them happened to be loose in the bag. No documentation of any kind in the package. Nothing from SRAM. No, quite a bit of dust on here from my workbench, which I better take care of. No warranty cards. No documentation, as I said. No, I've ordered a lot of bike parts. I've purchased a lot of parts. Every single one of them has come with something in the package what says that they need to be installed by a certified mechanic or you risk death. These came with none of that. No invoice from the shipper, nothing. The only thing that indicates who it came from is the shipping label. I thought that to be a little bit odd, but who am I? Naive me. I went to go for the installation. Now, a couple things that I did notice right off the bat. I've used a lot of Avid BB series brakes. I currently, as I said, have BB5s on the bike right now. First thing I noticed, the color of the plastic on the pad adjusters. Kind of a funky maroon, dark red as compared to the nice bright red that you normally see on the genuine Avid products. Another thing on here, I'll zoom in. most of the genuine Avid brakes that I have installed for both myself and other people have Avid stamped or molded right into the plastic on the knob itself. This is the inner pad adjustment knob on the BB5s that I was planning on replacing with those other ones. As you can see right here in the corner, it has Avid stamped inside of it. The color of the red color is quite a bit brighter, not quite as maroon colored as or dark as the ones on that other one. Also, I want you to just take a quick peek at the center bolt here, the pad adjustment bolt that the plastic piece rides on. Notice how nice and sharp and crisp it is, and the shape of that. That's been turned quite a lot with a nice T25 bit, which is the bit that's supposed to fit in there. I've had these on and off the bike a number of times for maintenance, and have had to replace them, and it's a lot easier to turn that with the T25 on a screwdriver handle than it is to try to turn the knob, although I can turn this knob quite easily by hand without too much difficulty. Which brings me to the other thing that I noticed about those other ones that I ordered, and this is rather important. This is the main issue that brought my attention to the fact that there was something amiss. I put the rotors on first. They went on nicely, just like they're supposed to. Got the calipers on. And lo and behold, when it became time to adjust them, I found that I couldn't turn the pad adjusters on either side. These were so stiff, can't turn them by hand at all. I figured, they're new, a little bit crusty. Turned just fine with the T25 bit. At least they did for a while. This one still sort of does, but it's still very, very tight, even with the T25 on the screwdriver. Now that's on the inner caliper, the inner pad adjustment. Outer pad adjustments initially wouldn't turn at all. This one finally broke free after a little bit of force. This one, which I initially had on the front, wouldn't turn at all. I worked it just like I did the one on the back, and it started to turn. Thought, great. So I was turning it and turning it, trying to get the pad adjusted to where I wanted it. Noticed that the pad wasn't moving in and out. Took a closer look and found that the set pin here that this is supposed to engage with, that the knob engages with, wasn't moving, and that the knob was basically just turning around. The indents for the click are built onto the knob and onto the inside of the arm here. So basically, this knob got stripped right off the bat, simply trying to turn it by hand. And again, this knob, I was able initially to turn it with the bit here, but eventually what happened, instead of them becoming more and more loose as I thought they would, they actually became tighter and tighter and tighter to the point where this one stripped right out, and now doesn't turn at all. If you look closely at the hole, I'll zoom in here, you will see that on both of these, I'll start with the one that I had on the front, the hole that accepts the bit has been rounded right out. Again, that's simply from me trying to get the pad adjusted to the proper location. Again, by hand, can't turn it at all, and as you can see, the plastic knob itself is deformed from me trying to turn it simply by hand. If you look at the other one, the one that I had on the rear, this one has not stripped out yet, but simply from me trying to get it adjusted, simply turning it, having the bit in there, you can see it's starting to deform. And if I continue to use it, and if I continue to try to adjust it with this, eventually it's going to suffer the same fate as this one did. So this metal is very soft. It's much, much softer than the one you saw on my other one there. Even the look, if you look at the look closely at the metal itself, it has a different finish on it. It looks much more mild, and it's just not the same quality as the one that I was going to be replacing it with. As for the plastic knobs themselves, aside from the color, this plastic is not a very high-grade plastic on either knob. It's much softer. Now, in terms of the pads, because I can't adjust the pad adjustment, can't get them out because this is still out a little bit too far. All right, we've had a look at the calipers. Now let's have a quick peek at the rotors. Rotors don't look terrible up front when you first look at them. These haven't been used at all. The only stopping motion that they've done is with the bike on the stand. Me spinning the wheels by hand and then engaging the brake just to get a feel for it. As you can see, there's already a bit of marking on here just from that. No stopping. Hasn't stopped the bike with anyone riding it. There's been no force on them. Again, other than just the wheel itself spinning, and you can already see they're starting to mark up from the pads. Quick look at the etching on the rotor, where it says Avid right here. That's nice and crisp, nice and clean. Did a good job with that. Arrow as well. And what really looks good is the rotor size etching right here. That one's really crisp and clean. You can really see the machining marks here. Much more pronounced. What's not the best, bolt torque settings and their unique identifying number that SRAM tells you to look for on all their parts, which on all of these is just the date. I don't know if it's just the date of manufacture, but that's the only identifying mark that's on any of these. On the camera here, it looks like that etching looks pretty good, but when you look at it up close, it really is kind of meh. Okay, taking a closer look at these, at the finish and whatnot, you'll see they are a little bit crusty. Look at this edge right here. Some apprentice marks on there. Right along here, you see this casting, but there are quite a bit of marks. Quite a bit more than you would expect on the genuine article. The bolt holes here are nice and clean. Saw some pictures on some other pictures on eBay where these were very crusty. They didn't look clean at all. Right here, looks like the finish is starting to rub off a little bit. Just like I said, these haven't been used. They got put on the bike, taken right off, and already got a little bit of finish issue there. Take a look at the other one. One doesn't look quite as crusty. A little bit of a mark along here. Casting mark. Up right here you can see some, I don't know if it's focused enough for you to be able to see, but there are some apprentice marks there. Okay, again, the quality of the plastic on these knobs, not the greatest. Much softer than what I have on my other ones. So, I'm going to put it out to all of you. Genuine or counterfeit? I say counterfeit. At the very least, I know they're defective. They are not of the quality that I would have expected from this particular product. As I said before, the ones that are on the bike now have been greatly abused. They're the lower line BB5s. They work great still. I'm probably just going to send these back and keep the BB5s for another season or two and go with something a little more high-end when I have a little more money. Back in the package, they're going to be going back to this, hopefully going back to the seller that I bought them from. Kind of interesting when I sent them the email, they sent me this funky, kind of weird, broken English response. Send them a little more information. This was on the 12th of April. And today they sent me the exact same response, word for word. I don't know if it's just a cut and paste kind of thing, but I don't think they really even know what they're selling. So I reserve the right to name the seller later on. Right now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps this just slipped in through their supply chain. I don't know. But these things are definitely not going to work. So they're going to go back. And if I have difficulties with them, I'll be sure to reveal the name of the seller so that all the rest of you can avoid them. But keep this in mind. 400 and some odd sellers of this particular product on eBay. Most of them were selling the same things. They had the same color on the knobs, probably coming from the same distributor. Doing my research, I found that SRAM has a warning out. There's lots and lots and lots of counterfeit bike components out there, so make sure you buy them from a reputable seller. I've had pretty good luck so far. This is the first time I've had an issue with any product. I purchased many things. A front fork I did this year. Bought a derailleur a couple of years ago to replace the one that was on the bike originally. Oh, free shipping. Week and a half from Hong Kong, came in a box with all the documentation. Has worked like a charm ever since. So don't be afraid to buy things as long as you know what you're buying. If you don't, stick with your local retailer. Take their advice. You're going to get a good product from them every single time. I buy things off of eBay, off of Amazon when I know what I want. I'm not going to go to my local retailer, ask them questions, and then go buy it somewhere else. When I have a question, I'm going to buy it from them. So if you think let me know if you think these are counterfeit or if you think they're real. You can put it in the comments below, and I'll let you know what happens in the future. Thanks for watching.